In this video, I'm going to show you how to map your sales territories in Tableau and then pull some data in and do some quite stunning analysis of the sales territories using the data that you've pulled in. So this is an example output that you can see, and I'm going to show you all the steps required to create it. Let's begin. So the first thing you're going to need is your zip to territory file. And this is typically an export from your CRM system. And here I've got an example. So we've got the zip codes in column A, and we've got about 41,000 of them. You might have anywhere between 30,000 and 40,000 if you're covering the whole country. You might have less if you're not. And then we have the name of the zip code, territory ID, territory name. They happen to be the same for this particular example. And I also have the rep name here. So that's the raw data that we're going to use to create the territory boundaries. Now let me save that. We're going to use AlignMix to create these territory boundaries. Now, full disclosure, I work for Cosmix, and Cosmix is the publisher of AlignMix. So it's very easy to create the territory boundaries. We're going to open the file, zip to territory, hit open, and we're going to import these in. So I'm going to drag zip code to the zip code field, territory ID to the territory ID field. I'm going to bring the sales rep in as well. Sales rep name. Hit next. And this is zip code data. Hit next again. It's pulled all that in. A few errors. That's typical in any CRM export system, sort of old zip codes and the like. And then voila, you see the territories, and you can click on any of these and see the properties. You can see who the rep is and all that good sort of stuff. Now, AlignMix is great at creating the territories and managing your territory boundaries. That's not what we're doing today. The first thing, we're simply using this to create the KML file that's going to be read into Tableau. So I'm going to do File, and then I'm going to do Export and Export KML file. And in this particular example, I want to do territory boundaries. You could do district boundaries or whatever you're going to analyze, but I'm just going to do territory boundaries for this example. You hit Finish, and it says, where do you want to save it? I'm going to save it on my desktop and just hit Save. So now we've created the KML file. Now we're going to import everything into Tableau. Here I have Tableau open. So I'm going to load the file that I'd like to analyze. That was the territory report. And here it is in the Tableau format. And I'm going to add a spatial file. This is sort of the secret sauce. And selecting the territory KML, up pops a connector. And what it's really asking is it needs to know which fields to link so that the data in the Excel file can be mapped using the KML file. So I'm going to click on the connector. It is an inner join that we're going to be doing, and it's really the ID that you'd use. I think the name and the ID are the same in this particular example, but ID would probably be the one to use, and then the name in the KML file. So once that's completed, the data is linked. In the next section, we're going to actually start mapping the data, which is pretty easy. So the first thing to do is to drag the geometry field over into the panel on the right, and then you see the territories. Now, I'm really just interested in the lower 48 states, so we're going to zoom into there, and you can see the boundaries of each of the territories, which is pretty cool. Let's color them by territory. So I'll drag the ID to the color attribute and add all members. And there we have it. There is a picture of all the territories. And of course we could, instead of doing ID, we could have taken, say, sales and pulled this in as well. And now we're seeing a thematic map of the territories based on the sales attribute of the report that we're looking at. Now I'm going to undo that. And what I'd like to do is to create a sort of circle a bubble analysis. And to do that, we're going to create a second map. So I'm holding down Control, I'm taking the latitude, and I'm going to drag it to the right. When you do that, you get these two dual views of the analysis, and I'm going to work on the bottom one. So here we have the first, and here we have the second. So I'm going to work on this one, and I'm going to say that it's a circle, not a map, or not automatic. Now you can see we have a circle for each of the territories. Again, quite cool. And I'm going to say the size of the circle is proportional to the sales. So size, drag to sales. That looks pretty good. And I want potential to be the color. So I'm going to create a thematic color on potential. So when I do that, again, I have to pull in the ID to say that I'm interested in all the territories, and here we have it at the bottom. Now I'm going to pick maybe divergent colors for this. So let's do red, green, and gold. Use full range. So there we have it. So green would mean that it has high potential, and a large circle would mean you also have high sales. Now, the real interesting step here is when you then go back up to the latitude and you say dual axis. And what that does is it effectively merges everything into one map. So let's tweak this before we complete this tutorial. So I'm going to say the size of these bubbles could be a bit bigger. That looks great. And I'm also going to give them a border. I'd like a nice crisp black border. And there we have it. That's the analysis. It's pulling in the territories using the KML file, and then it's creating some analysis on top of those territories so that you can visualize your sales territories, their performance, maybe even their weaknesses. So if you like this, please do like the video. And there's also a special code if you want to use a line mix to create your territories, and that would be Tableau 10. So that'll be valid until the end of 2018. So let me know if you have any questions, but otherwise, thanks for watching.